Good afternoon and welcome to ZTN News Blitz. Let's take a quick look at our top stories. Zimbabwe seeks alternative quarantine centers as schools open. Ex-Minister Mtodi loses designer suits to thieves. Dutch court orders grandma to delete Facebook photos. And in sport, award-winning UK-based Zimbabwe tennis umpire speaks out. And on to the news in detail. Zimbabwe's government says it has begun looking for alternative space to use as quarantine centers for returning citizens as schools prepare to open for the second term of the year. Presently, schools, colleges and universities are being used to house returnees during their 21-day quarantine period. But with the resumption of classes for primary and secondary schools now imminent, Secretary for Social Welfare Simon Masanga told ZTN that substitute facilities have to be sought.
There's more and more people arrive who avoid sending them to schools now. From now on, we will look at alternative centers which are not schools so that we don't disrupt the opening of schools. But we are together with the education sector. We are working together with higher education. We know the development that are taking place there, and students will remain top priority, but we will also not abandon quarantining people because it's a health issue. We will identify other centers outside the education sector.
Zimbabwe's former Deputy Information Minister Energy Mtodi lost valuables including 30 pairs of designer suits to thieves who broke into his Borodale residence in Harare. Brothers Denver and Cosmos Jomuya, Fidelis Martin Mandaza and Pardon Magombo broke into Mtodi's house in April this year and made away with property worth $11,000. They were arrested in Domboshava, about 20 kilometers north of Harare, after being spotted selling some of Mtodi's suits. The quartet appeared before Magistrate Shone Sumatoa today, facing theft charges. Madaza and Jomuya brothers pleaded guilty to the charges, but Magombo pleaded not guilty. He told the court that he was not in the know that the items had been stolen. The four are expected back in court on May 28, when the state is also expected to separate Magombo and his accomplices for trial. Now today, thousands of beneficiaries of a relief kitchen in Chitungwiza breathed a sigh of relief after council offered Samantha Murozoki a bigger place for her operations. Since the lockdown was announced in Zimbabwe, the vulnerable were being fed at the kitchen, and it is being run by Samantha Murozoki, who is being assisted by well-wishers. But yesterday, Chitungwiza municipality ordered her to shut it down as it was not legal. This morning, the two parties found each other, and the biggest winners were the beneficiaries from the kitchen. Yesterday, ZTN spoke to some of the beneficiaries who mourned they had been left vulnerable.
Ndaibenefita pakuti tikauyo tikabatsirawo pakushanda pakubika chikafu apa tanga tichiwanawo chikafu chekuti vana vadye kumba. Zvanga zvichitondibetsera zvakanyanyisa nekuti iko zvinezvi kana mabhinda ukataita emaoko hapana chatirikwanisa kuita, takangogara. Saka ni zvinhu zvacho zvakanyanyooma ende zvarema. Because iko zvinezvi right now kana tizive kuti tichatangira papi tichaita sei.
Voisauya panapa kwanise kubatsirwawo nekuti zvinhu zvakanyanya kutiomerawo mukati memba. Chikafu chikwanga chichatinetsa tichipawo vana chekudya nekuti taendawo mabasa tichiwana zvekutengesa saka izvinezvi nenyaya yeCovid iyi zvakatiomera chaizvo.
Chitungwiza Town Council Acting Town Clerk Dr. Tonderai Kasu said Samantha's relief kitchen contravened the Public Health Act and the town's bylaws.
The operations were not registered with the council in accordance with the Chitungwiza Urban Council bylaws 1981 Part 2 Section 6, and she did not have a municipal license for the operations which she was conducting. Her actions were also in contravention of the Public Health Act, Chapter 1517 of Zimbabwe. In addition, she was not registered as required by law as a private voluntary organization with the Department of Social Welfare. It is also in contravention of urban planning bylaws that such work was being conducted from a residential property which is not zoned for this use. An inspection was done by our City Health Department, which revealed that her premises were unsuitable and fell short of the standards with respect to the requirements for municipal licensing of premises where such work is being carried out.
Illegal taxi operators are back on the streets of both Harare and Bulawayo, taking advantage of reduced police roadblocks. Only ZUPCO contracted buses and combis are allowed to operate. Coincidentally, ZUPCO is struggling to cope with the numbers as more economic sectors were allowed to operate. Wilson Kakurira's eagle eye captured the traveling public at undesignated pickup and dropping points. When President Emerson Mnangagwa announced the national lockdown, which began on March 30, pirate taxi operators complied with lockdown rules as police enforced the regulations. Cops were impounding vehicles whose owners were violating the law. And ZTN will keep you updated on that story. Now, the MDC faction led by Dr. Thokozani Kupe says it will not hesitate to recall more legislators from Parliament. So far, the faction has recalled 4 MPs, and this was after a Supreme Court ruling judgment passed recently. The Chamisa faction maintains the issue of the party's name was settled at last year's Congress held in Gweru. Reinstated Secretary General Douglas Munzora speaks.
Yes. Once of course we have recalled people, we will replace them. So we are going to replace Senator Tim Vias. We are going to replace Honorable Tabitha Kumalo, and we will invite Zek to do that. This will be done after we have done the necessary consultations. And let me also say that we are prepared to go for by-elections, and this we need to make it clear that you cannot commit these offences because you are a constituency MP. That will not give immunity at all. So we are prepared for by-elections, and we will win.
Zimbabwe's Supreme and Constitutional Courts have been officially separated and will now operate independently effective today. Each court will now be constituted by separate judges. Previously, judges who presided over matters before the Supreme Court also performed the same functions for the Constitutional Court. Separation of the two courts is provided for in the country's constitution, but for the past 7 years, Supreme Court judges had the dual role of presiding over matters in both courts. Chief Justice Luke Malaba presided over the event to separate the two courts.
The establishment of constitutional jurisdiction is linked with the desire to guarantee democratic constitutional stability and to prevent constitutional mandates from being eroded. The objective of constitutional jurisdiction is the defense of the Constitution from possible situations which may threaten its integrity. The establishment of a constitutional court in any society is a transition to democracy, the protection of human rights, and the rule of law.
A Russian nurse who caused an uproar after wearing lingerie under her see-through gown has had her punishment overturned. The hospital doctors issued a warning over a shortage of medical clothing. Nadia, who's 23, went viral after she was pictured on a male COVID-19 ward wearing only underwear beneath her see-through protective gown. Nadia had explained to her managers she was too hot in her protective gown. Now, a court in the Netherlands has ruled that a woman must delete photographs of her grandchildren that she posted on Facebook and Pinterest without their parents' permission. It ended up in a court after a falling out between the woman and her daughter. The judge ruled the matter was within the scope of European Union General Data Protection Regulation, and the case went to court after the woman refused to delete the photographs of her grandchildren which she had posted on social media. Now to an inspiring love story. An American couple, 89-year-old Jean and 91-year-old Walter Willard, who spent months apart due to coronavirus pandemic, were reunited at their nursing home recently. The two have been married for 70 years, and let's watch their reactions.
So happy to see you. I was in your room the other day.
Huh?
I was in your room the other day. There's some of your stuff in
You was in the room the other day?
Yeah,
You're back in the room.
sometimes.
You're in the room, yeah.
You feel alright?
Huh?
Are you feeling alright?
I'm feeling better now.
Aww.
Oh, honey, I'm so happy to see you.
Okay. You too.
That beautiful story takes us to the world of sport, where UK-based Zimbabwean tennis umpire Kosam Mangani, who recently won the prestigious LTA Official of the Year award, has spoken to ZTN.
I'm extremely proud. The accolade given is an honor. For a simple guy from Congo Democratic Republic to grace Wimbledon, to be with the likes of Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal.
Australia's Olympic chief and head of the International Olympic Committee's Inspectorate of Tokyo, John Quartz, says Tokyo Games organizers face real problems staging the Games next year as coronavirus infections continue to soar. He said organizers had to assume there would be no vaccine for the virus or none in sufficient quantity in time for the Games. Barcelona have lowered their valuation of French defender Samuel Umtiti to just about $39 million. This is according to the BBC, and Manchester United and Arsenal are in the battle for the Barcelona man. And for more sports stories, please don't miss today's edition of Sports Daily. And that's all we had for you on News Blitz. Thank you for watching.